What's up, team? Welcome back to the channel. So first things first, I would like you to go into the comments down below and comment the country you are watching this from. I want to see how far around the world these videos get. So jump down in the comments below. And on this, we got a special guest. So my whole idea of starting a YouTube channel was to share my experiences, introduce you to guys that I've met throughout the world playing golf. And when I was writing down the names, this name was one of the top ones that I wrote on the top. So his name's Kieran Muir. He's from New Zealand. The reason I wanted to get this guy on the channel was because he is so professional on the course and off the course. So if you ever want to copy somebody, how they do things, it's definitely him. So I've learned a lot over the years being around him. My first experience with Kieran was when I was playing for Canterbury and he was playing for Bay of Plenty, and he was holing about a 50-footer on the last hole to beat Canterbury. So that was my first experience with him, and we've been mates ever since. And also I was lucky enough to get on a plane and go to Europe. So we went to the European Tour Q School first stage in Scotland together. Kieran, being the professional he was there I think a few weeks earlier than myself. He went over and played a few tournaments in the UK before he got to Scotland. I met him in St Andrews, and along with one of our very, very good friends, Scott Ritchie, we got to play St Andrews, the old course, for the first time. So that was a pretty special experience. I'll always remember, standing on the first tee with Kieran and on the bridge getting a photo. It was an unreal day. And then we jumped in a car and drove, I think it was about 2.5 hours just past Edinburgh, and we went to the Q School. And that was my real first experience with him, like traveling. And I just learned from him like how he works on the course and how he works off. So playing practice rounds with him, and then going back to the accommodation where we were staying, he'd be, stretching out or doing his notes in his book or writing notes down from the day, where I'd just be lying on the bed, and then he would be able to just switch off golf mode and just be Kieran, and we'd be able to go out for a beer and have a nice dinner together. So I really learned how he switches on and switches off, and how much work he actually does in the practice rounds before the tournament to prepare. And one of the big reasons I wanted to do this channel was to introduce you to guys that are, they're not guys that you see on TV every day, but these guys are very, very good golfers, and are behind the scenes working their butts off to try and get to the top level. So obviously Kieran, he definitely works hard. He is actually on 3 tours at the moment. So he's part of the New Zealand PGA, the Australasian Tour, and the PGA Tour of China. And that is one reason why I wanted to get him onto this channel, was to talk to him what it is like being a Kiwi, an English speaker, playing a tour in China. So for myself, obviously I'm an English speaker, I know a little bit of German, but I travel around Europe playing. But the good thing about the world is there's always somebody around that can speak English to help you out if you get lost, or you can work out road signs and what they say, even if it is in Italian, or everything gets familiar. But I'm sure the Chinese writing, is very, very difficult. So I want to talk to him and ask him what it's like playing in China. And he actually had a win in China last year, so we'll talk to him about the win. So without further ado, we'll get Kieran on, and we're going to do an interview over the internet on Zoom. So get him on, have a chat, and hopefully you enjoy. Welcome in, Kieran. Thanks very much for joining me on my channel. It's obviously a pleasure to have you here.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So first of all, we'll start off like, how did you start playing golf, and what age were you when you started playing?
I started playing when I was 10, when we first moved from Wellington to Tauranga here in New Zealand. My father's a yachty, so I used to do a lot of sailing, and was doing sailing when we lived in Wellington, and we moved to Tauranga, and the currents were a bit strong, so my boat was going backwards, and couple of my friends were playing golf that I met up here, and I enjoyed mini putt, so always wanted to have a go. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Okay, wicked. So like ten's not that young. You hear a guy starting when they're 3 and 4 and 5 years old, but
Yeah.
obviously you got good pretty fast. Like you play for your province, Bay of Plenty. How many years do you think you played for Bay?
I got good slowly. I was terrible. I started at 10 and then didn't break 100 till I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. And then by the time I was on 18, I was on a scratch handicap. And then I think I must have played for Bay of Plenty Juniors when I was 17, 18. And then, which was an under 19 age group. And then in the men's team from there.
Okay, wicked. So, like, what age did you turn professional, and like, what made you like do the jump from province golf to professional golf, or was it always a dream?
Yeah, I studied out of school as an architect, and I was actually working as an architect when I decided to turn professional. I was playing for my province, and I loved my province, but I didn't actually like the politics. And so an opportunity came to go to a Q school, and I thought, why not? Let's have a crack. So I went to Q school and finished third and qualified to be a professional. That's kind of how it all started.
What Q school was this? New Zealand or Australia?
In New Zealand, in the New Zealand Q school, yeah.
Okay.
2011.
All right. What age were you then?
23.
23. Okay. All right. Wicked. So
yeah.
I didn't turn pro till I was 20. I think it was 28. So I took a few more years.
Bloomer.
Few more years than you.
I feel like a late bloomer.
So you're on New Zealand PGA Tour, Australasian Tour, and PGA Tour of China, yeah?
Not PGA Tour of China, China Tour.
China Tour. Okay, so it's two different tours.
China Tour, which is China Tour is run by the Chinese Golf Association, and it's amalgamated with Europe, whereas the PGA China Series is amalgamated with the PGA, the American PGA, and they're sort of spread. So so one's tied to Europe and one's tied to the US, and I'm playing in the one that's tied to Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just checked up. You're sitting third on the Order Merit in New Zealand at the moment. Like how important for you is it to win the Order Merit? You've got a couple more events to go for the rest of the year.
We're fortunate enough that we've had a few events rescheduled because of COVID, and we still had a few on our calendar for the end of the year which haven't been cancelled. Sponsors are still in for it, so that's cool. It's nice to. There's a couple of different things. It's nice to have a recognition that you're playing well. There's results and performances, and where you sit at order merits and leaderboards. That's kind of that's your ultimate feedback. So there's some really good golfers here in New Zealand, and a lot of us haven't been able to get overseas this year, so it's pretty competitive on our own back doorstep. So for confidence levels, bragging rights, I guess there's a little bit of bonus money there, money in the back pocket, and there's a couple of opportunities into New Zealand Open and Aussie Tour and stuff through our Order of Merit here. So it's a nice nice trophy to have your name on. I was lucky enough to win it in 2016, and there's some pretty good names on there. So I guess it's just evidence that if you get your name on there, it's evidence that you're doing the right thing, because there's a lot of good golfers here in New Zealand. Absolutely. There are in every country.
Absolutely. There are definitely some big names in New Zealand. They go around the world and play well. And Ryan Fox, superstar now. So how many times have you won on as a pro? Pro-ams included.
Pro-ams included. I had to actually jot a couple of those down because I wasn't too sure. Not because I have got heaps, but I just don't keep track of them. I've got 21 wins total, which three of them are 4 of them are 72-hole championships. 3 of them are 72-hole championships.
It's pretty impressive. You have one on the Charles Tour, haven't you?
I won on the Charles Tour. Yeah, 2016 at Karana Open.
At Karana, I do remember that. All right, so I want to talk to you about New Zealand Open. Obviously, as a Kiwi, it's your national event, and just in February, just gone, you finished tied ninth, 13 under. Like, how was that as an experience? And um, like coming down the stretch, being a Kiwi as a Kiwi, I know we all always want a Kiwi to win our national open, and like what was the support like? And like I know that my mum and dad were on the sidelines cheering you on, and it's I played it twice, and it's a pretty cool experience. But I've never finished in the top 10. So tell us a little bit about that week.
Yeah. Um, yeah, for those people that haven't visited Queenstown and played those two golf courses, Queenstown's a pretty magical place, and their fair golf courses in fantastic condition. And so the scoring's generally pretty good because it's played as a pro-am format. So sets up for good scoring. So I guess that's one thing you've always got to keep in mind when you go there at the start of the week, is that you know that you're going to need birdies, because people are always, winners are always 20, 25, I think 27 under one about 3 or 4 years ago. So I prepared pretty well. I was feeling pretty confident with my game. Technique-wise, I was pretty settled, and I got down there early with my coach, and we had a few practice rounds and spent a bit of time, and it was pretty relaxing, getting a couple of days rest on the back of that, then leading into the event, because when you play two golf courses for a tournament, like, it just makes for a massive week. So having done a lot of the prep in the previous week, and then having a couple of days chill, and then just being able to fine tune in the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday made a huge difference this year.
Yeah.
Because generally when you get down there, you're just trying to cram in so much stuff because extra golf course. But yeah, getting back to the Kiwi aspect of it. We always want a Kiwi to do well, and it's pretty competitive out there, because some of those Asian players, Japanese players, guys from Australia that come over are really, really good golfers. So, we're always trying to push ourselves along. Mike won 2 or 3, was it 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And he's first Kiwi winner in like 20 years. So, it's obviously a pretty hard sort of tournament to win. I think I was leading Kiwi after the second round, which was cool. I try not to think about too much about, being the leading Kiwi winning, but I just noticed that, and so that was pretty cool. And I didn't start either of the first of the Saturday or Sunday rounds particularly well. That's just me getting my own way, a little bit of outcome focus instead of process focus, and a bit of nerves. But the good thing was that I was playing well, so as soon as I settled, I was away and made plenty of birdies on the back nine both days, which is pretty cool. And in terms of home crowd, like, I was just absolutely blown away by the number of people that had travelled around the country, not just for me, but had travelled from around the country to come watch that I knew. And because I was playing well, they followed me. My sister-in-law, she was every time I hold like a 10-foot putt, she was like just pumping and cheering, and everyone else was getting around her, and she was real loud. So that was pretty cool. And I had my partner, Nicola, on the bag for me for all 4 days. First time she's done a New Zealand Open, and we just had such a cool time together. Everyone always said when they saw us on TV that it looked like we were having fun.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the key to success, is when you're having fun. That always helps. So yeah,
absolutely.
Cool week.
As you mentioned, it's like a tri-sanction tournament now, so it's pretty difficult to even get a start, let alone go along and play well.
Yeah.
But obviously, being tri-sanction, the rewards if you win are obviously bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it's like, as you mentioned, it's a pro-am format, so you have to go and when you're having your practice rounds, it's 2 practice rounds, and you're trying to learn 2 golf courses, which is
Correct.
which is completely opposite to a normal week where you're just trying to learn one. Sometimes you'll just play 18 holes practice day and then a 9-hole practice day just to rest. But with that tournament there, you've got to play 36 holes minimum before your tournament even starts. So,
you do. Yeah.
And it's obviously a pro-am format, so it's a little bit like the Pebble Beach one they play in America, which is pretty cool. And
or
that
the
leads me on to my next question, like sponsorship. So you have people that help you out, and I understand that your sponsor plays with you in the New Zealand Open every year, which is pretty special. Must be pretty cool feeling for him and you also.
Yeah. Tony Gorton from Cardinal Logistics. They're a warehousing and freight company here in New Zealand. And I met Tony in the New Zealand PGA 2015. And we kind of hit it off and began a bit of a relationship. And Tony's been looking after me, which is very, very kind of him. And as much as a mentor, as a sponsor, he's a pretty intelligent sort of a guy, and he's really kind and generous. And I think his time and his knowledge is as important as anything else. So it's nice to always play with him every year. It's pretty cool. I think we've played together 4 or 5 times now. So
Yeah, it's just I've met him a couple of times and actually stayed in his house once with you, and he is
Oh, you did too.
he is a top lad. So I was stuck for accommodation and he invited me in. So absolute mega star.
Couple of late night Baileys or espresso martinis or something, was it? I can't remember.
Espresso martini.
He's a master of the espresso martini.
All over his. You spilled it all over his white pillow.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a big memory than I do.
You're in the bathroom trying to clean it off.
Sounds like something I'd do.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're playing on the China tour, and as you said before, the China tour leads into obviously Europe. So am I right to say it's only one spot on the order of merit gets a European Tour European Tour card?
Yeah, just the one carat there. Yeah.
So that's
order of merit winner at the end of the year.
It's pretty difficult. So what made you choose to go to China? Is it just to get into Europe, or have you got mates that you go with?
Look, at that time, when I chose to go to China, I was just looking to get further abroad. And I'd had a few friends of mine play up in China, Australians and Kiwis. And I actually just looked at it from a business perspective and did the maths on how much it was going to, in terms of budgets, what it was going to cost to go there and play and what the return was. Okay. And I basically just, and looked at what the golf courses were like, how the tour ran, and thought that, that's an opportunity for me. I want to step outside because I've been, 2011 I turned pro, 2013 I joined the Australasian Tour, and they were basically the only 2 tours I'd played on until I joined the China Tour 2 years ago. I'd been to European Q School a couple of times, and Asian Q School once, the Asian European Tour Q School with you a couple of times, and obviously didn't manage to get through there. So China was an opportunity to, just get that playing.
Okay.
Playing schedule a little bit further abroad.
So what is it like traveling over there, being an English speaker? Like, obviously Chinese is completely different. Do you get by, and like, are there people there that speak English to help you out if you get lost, or you go in a group of mates, or what is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's the first country I've been to where English, like, I guess the other nations I've travelled to that aren't English-speaking nations have a tourism aspect to them, so people always speak English. Whereas I guess the tourism aspect of China is not massive, so there's no need for them to understand English and speak English. So that's a challenge. Understanding the culture, the cultural differences can be a bit challenging at times.
And sorry for cutting you off, but like, what about like food and stuff? Like for me, I know when I'm traveling, and sometimes you just need your comfort food just to get into your sort of routine. Like it might be a pie or a sausage roll or meat, vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, what's the food like in China that you?
Yeah, so we've got a couple. I mean, the hotels generally have like good buffet, and they have a buffet breakfast and buffet at the lunches, and that's all put on. All the players use it. That's what you do. So you'll find something in the buffet that you know what it is, or you trust it.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that you just go, oh mate, I've got no idea what it is. I'm not going to risk that this week. Eh?
The octopus leg or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. The old pigeon soup, classic pigeon, just the whole pigeon
Oh yeah.
in the pot. Just the only thing that's missing is the feathers.
Oh.
And you get that quite a bit. But and if you go to like in the Sichuan district, you get like the Sichuan peppers.
Okay.
Basically, everything's got spicy peppers. Like you just 90% of food you can't eat because it's too hot. But you get to become like you quickly find out who knows a little bit of Chinese and who doesn't. In terms of like the other players, and so you'll be like, oh, like there's a guy like Woojin who like who's from Korea. He speaks a bit of Chinese, and Bryden McPherson, he speaks a bit of Chinese. He's an Aussie that lives in the States. So we kind of like tee up to go out with dinner for those guys, and they kind of help us out.
This is chicken.
And
this
then
is duck.
What's that?
This is chicken. This is duck. This is pigeon.
Yeah. So basically, they can say like chicken, beef, one or two. So if there's like four of us, like Bryden will say like beef for four.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like cola, and then you can say like cold cola or warm cola or whatever you want. Always wash it down with a can of cola.
Yeah.
That'll kill anything that's in there.
Yeah.
And then and then some of the Chinese players are really friendly too, and they've spent heaps of time in America, so they speak like English. They've got American accents. So yeah, you just find a way.
All right. And did you finish fifth on the Automail last year? Is that right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did finish fifth.
Tell us about your win in China. How was that? What was the score, and what did you win by?
I won by one shot in the end over Maverick Antcliffe, who was the Order of Merit winner at the end of the year. So he's playing European Tour this year.
Okay.
So we played a golf course called it's called the Huangshan Open.
Yeah.
And like every other golf course I played in China that year, it was my first look at it. Quite a hilly golf course, and it was very, very, very hot. Strong winds, dry heat. It's probably one of the hottest events we played that year. A couple of the guys a lot of guys, I'm going to say a couple, half a dozen guys or so pulled out because they just couldn't manage the heat.
Humidity or like degrees? Was it humid?
It was humidity, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, humidity. I mean, it was still warm, but it was warm and humidity. It was just, I don't know if that makes much sense. It was just hot, man. And I was just sweating it out. I'm a big lad. It's just coming out of me.
Yeah.
On Friday night after the second round, I was in my hotel room. So I've gone back to my hotel room. I've had like a cold bath and like tried to pump some hydrolyte in and put like compression pants on to like try and get the blood like flowing through my legs. And I'm lying in bed that night, and we've been lying there for like half an hour, and then I just start cramping like something shocking, and I'm just like pinging out of bed, and I'm just trying to hold my leg, and Hayden's bed. I was rooming with Hayden, and I wanted him to help me, but he was more laughing. So, and then over the weekend the weather cooled down a little bit, and I think I shot 4 under for the first 2 rounds, and I was running maybe 10th. And so the next day when I went out, it was way cooler, and it was like, and then we had caddies over the weekend, set to, lug your own, try and lift for the first couple. And so we had caddies, the wind was up a little bit, the temperature was down, and life was easy. And I went out and shot 5 under, I think.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Got me into the last group, and then I played in the last group on the last day.
What did you shoot in the final round to win by 1?
I shot square.
Yeah.
And I actually bogeyed. I had a 3-shot lead with 3 holes to go. The golf courses in China are really long and really tight. They're really challenging. You've got to be across the tee. And then 16, 17, the pins were kind of in like spots where if you short-sighted yourself, you were just toast. So I tried to play away from the short side, and unfortunately I just played it like too safe, and I 3-putted 16 and 17 just because I left myself with like 50 footers.
Okay.
But we'd hit driver down the middle on the last hit wedge to 15 feet and just nestled one up there tidy.
And you knew that was for the win. Obviously, the leaderboards were there telling you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good,
I did.
good,
Yeah.
good feeling. So, all right. So, what are your plans for the rest of the year, and start of next year? I know you're coming out of winter in New Zealand soon, and we'll kick off again in New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah. I was pretty hopeful. Like, I don't know how many people understand the COVID situation down here in New Zealand. I was pretty hopeful. We went into lockdown, like level 4 lockdown, so no one was allowed basically out of their house except to go for a walk and get some groceries back in April. And we came out of that, and things were starting to get better here. And I was hoping that things were starting to get under control overseas, especially in Australia, because Australia, for those who are over your part of the world, New Zealand and Australia are pretty close, very similar countries. And we were hopeful down under here that there'd be an Australasian bubble, so New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
So that would allow me to get to Australia for their summer of golf and Aussie Open, Aussie PGA, New South Wales Open, Victorian Open, that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, they've had a resurgence of cases over there. And we've had a small one here as well. So Aussie borders probably aren't opening up for us in a hurry. So at the moment, it's not really viable as unless you're playing PGA Tour or European Tour.
Yeah.
With schedules that are fixed. The rest of the tours around the world are kind of, their tournaments are in drips and drabs, and sponsorship's a little bit hard to come by. So at the moment, the likelihood of getting out of the country is not high.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to play. We have a Pro-Am circuit and the Charles Tour circuit in New Zealand, and the Charles Tour circuit are 72-hole events which have professionals and elite amateurs. And so we have another 4 of them for this calendar year, plus some Pro-Ams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then and then same sort of scenario, January, February, March, start next year.
Okay.
April.
All right. So fingers crossed that we COVID world gets back on track and we can actually play again. It's a very, very similar situation over here where, like I say, it could easily shut down again next week. It's, I think we could be struggling a little bit to play golf for the next 6 to 12 months, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty volatile, eh?
Yeah. All right, man.
So we can come up with a vaccine.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you very much for obviously joining me and coming on the channel. Obviously,
Thanks for having me. Sorry we didn't have more time. We could have had an actual interaction chat, but thanks for asking me some questions. I hope I was some feedback there for you.
So the guys that don't already follow you, obviously Instagram's the best way to connect with you and follow your career and obviously what you're going to do the next few years. So what is your Instagram? Do you know?
Oh, you've asked. I should have this pre-planned. Hold on 2 seconds.
That's right. I can get it and I can put it in the description down below. So, and
you should know your own.
Chuck it on.
I think it's Kieran Muir Golf.
Kieran Muir Golf, perfect. All right, I'll chuck it in the description and on the screen. And yeah, absolutely.
Wicked.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jamesy. Good to see you again, mate. Got your true Canterbury colours on there today too.
Yeah, Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods. I thought it was Crusaders, but all right.
All right, man. Thanks for that. That was fun.
All right, mate. Have a good one.
Easy.
Catch ya.
All right,
cheers,
bro.
boy.